Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we've got champion buffs coming in the next patch. Basically been doing this all year. Picking out a few champions, buffing them up each time. Sometimes we've had some real sexy buffs. Sometimes they still stay in the vault and we wonder what's going on. Well, you know what? We're coming up to December. We're coming up to Christmas. So that means another Pyxniel buff. Will they get it right? Will Pyxniel ever be a playable champion? Let's find out. So 4 different champion buffs in this one. Let's go through each one and see what we think. Should we start with Pyxniel now? Let's finish with Pyxniel. Pyxniel's going to be last. Let's start with probably one of the champions that I'd call out as one of the worst in the game. Crypt Witch. Kind of fancy headdress kind of thing going on here. I wonder what that means. Anyone speak? Is that Latin or something? Bellum Aeon Veratus. Anyway, I'm sure it's something fancy. She's got this kind of, actually, it's a pretty damn sweet skin. I don't even really appreciate how good this skin is. I really like it. So let's hope she's going to be useful. That is actually really cool. Right. So at the moment, what does she do? She's got a single target hit, deals 30% more damage if they're under shield or block damage, whatever. Double hitter with a drop defense, single target. Single target again, ignoring defense. This already hits pretty hard because it ignores 50% defense. And she's got speed in faction crypts. Average base stats. Everything scales from attack. All single target. Billion champions do the same job. Tons better. Yeah, that's where we're at. So what's going on with her? Her dismantle array 2 is going to be, instead of attacks 2 times at random, this is a Christmas gift for you. It's now going to attack 3 times at random. Each hit still got the same drop defense. Each hit will also ignore 15% defense. Does this change this champion? Does this change this champion? This champion on that change is not good enough still. It needs to be an AoE if you're going to do something like that. Yeah, it needs to be an AoE. Come on, Raid. Next ability here, not so fast, which is a big hitter, single target, will ignore 50% of the target's defense if this champion has higher speed than the target. Attacks one enemy. Will ignore 50% of the target's defense if the target is faster than this champion, but it's changing to if she's faster than the enemy. Crypt Witch is still useless, I'm pretty sure. Crypt Witch needed better than that. Okay, let's go into the next one. We've got ourselves one of the sisters. Now, one of the sisters that likes to read, probably already, I would say, the most useful of the 3. So Alika can do work. Yeah, she can hit hard. She's got an A1 here, chance of placing an extra hit if she crits. She's got an A2, ignores 50% of the target's defense if they've got higher HP than her, which is pretty much all PvE stuff. And then an A3 is an AoE, which hits pretty hard as well. So all of her kit hits pretty hard. She does need a bazillion books. Yeah, and you kind of need to book her to get the best of her skills. So that's always going to be a low point for an epic champion. But what they're doing here, they're changing her disorient. Same. It's all the same, apart from it increases the cooldown skills by 2 turns. This is a good ability, by the way. Basically, you're locking out enemy skills, instead of now by 1 turn, by 2 turns. It's what Basher already does. It's a 100% chance to do it if she's booked out. It's an arena skill, really, or a faction war skill where you're just locking out the enemy waves and all they can do is A1 against you. I like the change. I still feel like she probably needs something a little bit more, but she's definitely not the worst champion around the block here. She does some work. She hits hard already, and locking out skills for 2 turns definitely moves her up the kind of rankings a bit. So I think a decent change. Let's get on to the 2 legendaries then. So we're going to start with Belanor, who, again, I feel like he's been buffed once before. I could be wrong on that, but definitely doesn't get much playtime. If he's played anywhere, it's pretty much in a clan boss, unkillable team, and he hits for decent damage. That's where he plays. He's got an A1 where he can put crit rate on his team if he crits, which he should do because you're building him for damage. That's actually quite a nice A1. He's got an A2, which will place drop defense and weaken. This is where he comes in as that kind of clan boss champion, because he's doing 2 of your big debuffs. He's giving you some crits. And then his A3 basically attacks an enemy, will attack the enemy with the lowest HP with any surplus damage if he kills someone. So he should kill someone and then probably kill a second person. But the surplus damage cannot crit. And then if he pairs up with Xavier, then he gets some extra ability as well. He's just a bit bang average. As a Void Legendary, he needs a lot more, honestly. He's nowhere near where he needs to be. He hits hard, that's about it. So what they're doing to him, Insurmountable, which is his A2, becomes an AoE. Ooh, that's actually insanely strong. That's actually a massive buff. So it becomes an AoE. These debuffs cannot be resisted if Xavier is on the same team. That's a cool upgrade. So AoE, drop defense and weaken. It takes him out of just being the boss killer, which he's kind of average to bad at anyway, and gives him now some opportunity as a wave killer on a 3-turn. Drop defense and weaken is strong. Also places Perfect Vow on himself for 2 turns, which he did anyway. So the second part of his change is an interesting one, actually. So the Tactical Partner, which at the moment, it activates this champion's A1, yeah, and activates Xavier's Poison Rain skill when Xavier's on the same team. What it's actually going to do now, it's still going to do the Xavier's Poison Rain, by the looks of it, but now it's going to be activating his A3, which is kind of like his ability to do the surplus damage skill. So, I mean, definitely, if you're partnering with Xavier now, it's pretty nutty. I will just say, though, like, he doesn't really complement Xavier that well. You know, if this kind of like, I don't know, hit someone and did almost like a poison spread to the whole enemy or something as well, then you've got kind of like this synergy with Xavier where Xavier then can start doing her nukes. They definitely need, like, you've got 2 pieces you've got to have, and then you need another couple to make this any sort of like, you know, duo possibilities. But it feels like a pretty significant buff. Good A2 buff, which is now attacking all enemies. I guess it depends what they do to his damage on his A2. Because if that's a smack AoE and drop defense and weaken, then that's big. I don't know. Feels like he might get a bit more playtime. So that's good. At least we've got a change which could work. So here we go. Merry Christmas. We've got the Pyxniel buff 2022. What are they doing this time? Oh, it's a lot. There's a lot of changes here, right? So what's she got going on at the moment? Not a lot is the answer. She hits for nothing. She's got an A1, which places Perfect Veil on the ally with the lowest HP. Cannot place it on herself. An A2 gives increased defense and continuous heal to the team, then attacks enemies under freeze, or place weaken for enemies under freeze. And then an A3, 5 hit at random. Each hit can book up to a 50% chance of placing a freeze. But if she hits someone twice, they definitely get the freeze. And then she's got this passive as well. So whenever an enemy places a freeze on an ally, 50% chance of stealing the freeze and placing it on herself. And then basically you start to get some bonuses here. So 35% chance of filling this champion's turn meter if they receive the freeze. Removes any freeze from this champion at the start of every turn. So pretty much you're getting like a turn meter fill. If there are multiple champions with the skill, only activate one. So that's what's going on right now. But it's just it's so... I mean, the freeze elements really are quite useless in terms of when are you going to take this stuff. So let's see what they're doing. A1 then. They're changing it to attacks one enemy, still the same. Places. So instead of a 30% chance of doing it, it's just going to do it. Places the veil. So taking away the percentages. I don't know what that means they're doing to the books, honestly. I doubt they're going to remove the books. So hopefully there's either some more damage or something. I don't know. But I doubt they just remove books. But yeah, it's just going to be a straight. It will place this Perfect Veil instead. The A3 Icicle Barrage. Damage is going to be increased. It's now going to be an attacks all enemies instead of random hits. 80% chance of placing a freeze. Probably books up to 100. So pretty much changing it to 100% chance to place a freeze on everybody and more damage. The passive is now going to have a 5-turn cooldown, 2-turn when booked. So they're changing this to just being a passive that books up to reduce the active effect timer. So she's going to be immune to freeze. Fills this champion's turn meter by 25% every time an ally receives a freeze. That's all happening. And in the active effect that's got the cooldown, at the end of each enemy or ally turn, removes all freeze from all allies. So that'll have a 2-turn when booked. If there are multiple champions in the team, yeah, same. Aura is staying the same. No, it's going to be, sorry, it's not staying the same. It's going to be all battles, 60 resistance. I don't know, guys. AoE freeze, much better, much more consistent. We like it. A bit more damage from it as well. I guess we have to see what sort of damage that is. Immune to freeze is kind of interesting. And the active effect, what are we saying about the active effect? At the end of each enemy or ally turn, removes all freezes from allies. There are multiple champions in this team with a skill, yeah, on a 2-turn. It's definitely better. Do I think she's going to come out of the vault and wish us all a Merry Christmas? I don't know, really. I don't feel like there's enough in her kit. I just don't feel like there's enough in her kit. That's the problem. I really don't. There's just not enough going on to make her viable in much content. She's straight up an arena-only champion for me, which I guess if you've got some Doom Tower waves where you're being frozen up, then all of a sudden that could be more useful. And if that's the aim, then I think a passive, just your whole team is immune to freeze. That could be interesting. Yeah, it's kind of what they're aiming at, but they've not quite done that. That could be interesting. But I feel like our A2 just needs to be something a lot better. Maybe turn me to feel. Maybe a cleanse needs to come in here as well. Just feels like she's still not there, but she is better with this buff. So let me know what you think down below on these buffs. Any of those which make you feel like you're just trying to bring that champion straight out the vaults. I've been Hell Hades. See you later.